Fall and winter is prime time for baking. When you say, well, if you're like me and you don't bake all the time, when you do get ready to make a pie, it can seem overwhelming. And that is why I've enlisted the help of my friend Lauren Ko of Loko Kitchen to help take the stress out of my next pie, which would actually be my first and only pie because I've never made a pie.
What?
I know.
Tis the season. It's time to start.
Tis the season. It is time to start. And I love all the wonderful things you do. You are definitely an artist. But I'm so glad you're here today to take some of the pressure off us because you've got some great ideas. But before we get started, I just want to see, where have you been drawing your inspiration from lately? Because your Instagram is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Well, it is cozy season, so I've been really inspired by a lot of cozy knits, textiles, so kind of playing with a lot of woven elements, weaving dough together, kind of quilt inspired.
The red and white one is definitely quilt inspired. So incredible. Many of us maybe could never dream to do that, and that is why you do what you do. But can you give us some ideas on just how to make pie, but a little bit easier and more approachable for the rest of us?
Yeah, I really think that pie can be accessible. It can be quite a time-intensive process, and you know, it's a busy season. Not everybody has time to devote 2 to 3 days to making a full, beautiful pie.
Right.
The good news is that you can break it up into stages. So I like to make all my pie dough on one day. Once it's rested in the fridge, I wrap it up. You can dump it all in the freezer.
Okay.
You can freeze your discs of dough. I like to label it, put the date on, and then basically you have an on-demand supply of dough. So when you're ready to bake, I just pop it in the freezer, let it thaw overnight, and then you can get rolling.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah.
and you said this one's all butter, and they have thawed enough to start rolling them out.
We can unwrap these and roll them right away.
And I noticed there's like kind of thick pockets of butter in there.
Yes, that's how you know it's good. Good dough. You want to be able to see all those butter chunks, all those butter streaks. That's what's going to bake up into a really flaky, delicious crust.
And that's what makes it flaky.
Yes.
So I do like also that it looks to me, and I'm not judging if it's not the case, that looks like it might be a store-bought crust.
It is. We don't judge here.
All right.
Again, not everybody has time to get dirty in the kitchen and be making pie dough or making a full pie. You can buy a crust. You can buy frozen pie dough. I've got a no-cook filling in there that's just cream cheese, cinnamon, powdered sugar, and lightened with a little bit of whipped cream to make it fluffy and delicious. And then the topping is what I call the pantry forge. So just using bits and ends that you have on hand in your kitchen. Of course, making sure that all your flavors go well together, but you know, things like dark chocolate, pecans, pepitas, some chocolate pearls, they can make a really beautiful textural
Which
pie
one did you start with
topping.
here? Because I do have like just a teeny bit left of coconut and just a few pecans. So where do you start to create this so that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I actually, you know what? I'm going to do this and I'm going to take a picture and send it to you for a laugh. But how do you start creating the form so that everything looks so nice?
Yeah, honestly, I just take a toothpick and I just draw some abstract squiggles, and then you have sections marked out on your surface, and then you just fill it in. So, I mean, honestly, if I can do this, anybody can. This is a great one to do with kids too. Set them at the table, have them, you know, give them a couple bowls of ingredients. They can plop those ingredients right into those sections, fill them in. It doesn't matter what order you do.
You could do that with different sprinkles too, if you wanted.
Yeah, totally. And if you only have nuts, you can think about different ways of cutting them or toasting off some of them. There's a lot of ways to kind of have range and texture.
You mentioned there was a no-bake filling in that. What are some other good no-bake fillings?
I like to use this base. So this one is flavored with cinnamon. You can also use freeze-dried fruits like strawberries, blueberries, blitz those in for a really beautiful color and flavor. You can add some cocoa powder for chocolate. You can think about extracts, so like peppermint extract, vanilla extract.
But you can also use ice creams, right?
You can also use ice cream. That's one of my favorite party tricks. You have absolutely no time. You can whip up an Oreo crust that's just blitzed Oreos, melted butter. You bake it for 5 minutes.
You did this. So that's what this is. This is an ice cream pie.
You could also buy the crust, of course. They sell Oreo crust. And then I just put mint chip ice cream straight in there. No cooking, no prep. It's literally just ice cream in there. And then if you do want to get a little fancier, I've simply cut some Andes mints in half and placed them in a checkerboard design. So really no technique, no fancy equipment. And this comes together in, 10, 15 minutes.
I imagine me trying to put this checkerboard together and like trying to do math and the circumference of the pie.
Involved.
No, just do it. That is interesting. Another way of making something homemade, you say, is buying a nice pie, but then adding a little pizzazz.
Yeah, so let's say you have 10, 20 minutes.
Okay.
You can run to the store, grab a pie, something like a crumble, or even just a regular traditional double crust apple pie, and use those 20 minutes to make a really delicious caramel. So today I have a gingerbread caramel that's really delicious and spicy and warm, and then you just kind of drizzle that over so you have a homemade element that kind of extra touch makes it really special,
And
but kind of utilizes the time that you have.
I'm gonna try it.
It's really good. Cozy and perfect for the season. And
What else could you put? I might put that on my bread in the morning, like toast.
Yeah, maybe over your oatmeal if you're into that.
Oh yes, that is delicious.
Honestly, anything over your ice cream.
And do you do
maybe
this
into
like in front of your guests, like just to show,
Yeah,
like to get like,
bring
oh
in a
wait,
little
before
theatrical
okay, see, I can't
element.
even pour that on there. It's a theatrical. Here is your pie. You are welcome. This is phenomenal. What about making a pie like you have here and then freezing it because it looks like it's frozen?
Yeah, so this is what I do most often is that once I have this full, complete pie ready to go, I pop it in the freezer for 30 to 40 minutes until the design or the whole thing is set, and I'll wrap it up again, labeling it with the filling, the flavor, and the date. And when I'm ready to bake, I just pop it straight from the freezer into the hot oven. No thawing. You don't have to wait for it to come to room temp. Straight into the oven. You have a hot, delicious pie ready to serve in an hour and a half.
So if anyone ever goes into Lauren's freezer, don't be throwing in frozen pizzas. Check what you're putting in before you're throwing it because you don't want to
Lots of pies in there. We call it the pie freezer.
The pie freezer. It's perfect. All right, before I let you go, if someone hasn't made a pie in a while or ever, where should they start?
A tart is a quick and easy way to go. Again, store-bought, you know, it's crazy stressful season. We're going to be easy on ourselves, and ultimately flavor and gathering and kind of sharing together is what matters. So, you know, store-bought is fine. Tarts are quick and easy, but mostly it's, you know, the love that you put into it no matter
And that's how it
the
matters.
time. Yes.
Lauren, thank you so much. We
Thanks so
adore
much
you
for
for
having
coming and
me.
explaining, always giving us these wonderful tips. This was fantastic. I can't wait to heat up this pie and sit by a warm fire.
Yes, and drizzle over lots of caramel.
Obviously.